Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining our virtual roundtable event. My name is Karen Gerbens, and I'm Communications Director at DFE Pharma and your host for today's event. Please note that this session will be recorded today for playback purposes. And should you have any questions during the sessions, feel free to type anything in the chat box that you see on your right-hand side of your screen. During this virtual roundtable today, we'd like to share some insights of our 22 outlook. I also look back a little bit on 21, but we also really like to get engaged with you. So we'll do some engagement, and we hope that you'll be dialing in and participate as well to this roundtable. So let's first start to introduce our panelists of today. Teun Heijnen is our Chief Operation Officer, and he's member of the leadership team at DFE Pharma. Teun is accountable for the end-to-end supply chain and operations management, and Teun has over 30 years of experience earned at multinational companies, including Unilever, ICI, and Royal Friesland Campina. Teun holds a bachelor degree in chemical engineering from the University of Eindhoven, the Netherlands. Our second panelist today is Sander van Gessel, and he's Director Innovation and Technical Solutions, or ITS as we call it at DFE Pharma, since May this year. And as Director ITS, Sander is responsible for delivering product and service solutions to the market. Sander's background is in chemical engineering as well, and has been associated with DFE Pharma since 2006. Where he has continuously been passionate about connecting customer challenges with DFE Pharma solutions. Before joining ITS, Sander was in Tokyo, Japan, as sales director for Japan and APAC. And prior to that role, Sander worked as global oral solid dose category head. So with these two panelists, we'll hope to have a really nice discussion. We'll be able to talk a bit about supply chain, but also very much on product. To set the scene a little bit of today's discussion and where we are. We all know we're in the midst of a big pandemic, and we actually see in Europe, where DFE Pharma is based, that the COVID cases are really strongly going up again, and lockdown measures are being implemented. Even last week or a few weeks ago, the World Health Organization predicted that the COVID deaths in Europe will top by 2 million by March. So we again see that hospitals are struggling to provide regular healthcare solutions and procedures, and that really causes obviously a lot of serious issues. And people are waiting too long for their care, and it leads to damage. And healthcare has to be organized differently. We also see this shift in the pharma market. And earlier in November, the Director General of Medicines for Europe, Mr. van den Hoven, declared in a keynote that one of the impacts of COVID-19 has been this creation of strong demand for medicines and local manufacturing. He added that he expects a strong focus on issues such as security of supply, and encourages a more resilient supply chains for his members, so you and our customers. At the same time, this is not just a pharma focus, the supply chain issue. We see supply issues across economies. We see supply issues across industries. To name a few examples, Japan's economy has seen a decline as supply bottlenecks harm consumption and output. And in the US, COVID-19 has caused significant supply disruptions within the food service industry. However, against all this background, I think we're very proud as DFE Pharma that we've been able to continue to supply in 2021 and really be committed to supply to our customers and able to help our customers with their drug development. So a little bit of setting the scene here, and as a start, and also get your engagement here, I would like to start with a poll and get your inputs. So Rose, if you're so kind enough to pull up the poll, I would like to ask our attendees to look at your screen where you will see the poll, and you should be able to click on one of the answers that appeals to you. So the question is, what has been your biggest challenge in your business in the past year due to pandemic? And could be supply issues, it could be increased demand for your products, it could be higher prices of raw materials or transportation, or maybe something else. So please feel free and put in the poll answers. I hope it's coming up now, Rose. At least it gives you some time to think about what is your biggest challenge in business in the past year due to pandemic. Has it been supply issues? Has it been an increased demand? Or yes, we can see it now, Rose. Thank you. A higher price for raw materials or a higher price for transportation maybe, or something else. You should be able to click and submit. All right. 10 more seconds. Please fill in your number, your answer. And then I'll ask Rose what has been that most chosen answer, please. Rose, can you inform us the outcome of the poll?
Okay, so so mostly people have chosen increased demand, and higher prices have been the most issues they've had.
Good. All right. Thank you very much. So it's interesting to get your insights. So thank you for all the attendees to fill this in. Higher prices, increased demand, and I think there's also some supply issues. So I would be interested to talk a little bit more about supply. So maybe Teun, we can go to you. The last 2 years, despite COVID and ocean freight challenges, DFE Pharma has been able to serve its customers and even to supply peak demand in the first COVID year. So we also saw that demand that comes out of the poll. Can you explain a bit more how that has been done?
Sure. Thanks for the question. And obviously, we're, as DFE Pharma, very proud that we managed to keep the supply up and running. Obviously, there are multiple reasons, but I should want to limit myself to 3 reasons, which I should want to spend some time on. I think as DFE Pharma, we spend a lot of time on what we will call the end-to-end focus. So with that, what we mean is, let's say, from the contact to the customer, the order in, the processing of the order, the production, and then in the end, the whole dispatch of the end product. So key for that is not working in silos, but really understanding what is that our customers are looking for in terms of quantity of their product. We over time gathered a large amount of data of their order patterns. So we really, at the time of this increased demand, we really could go and get into contact with them and really understand whether this was driven by panic or whether there was really an underlying increase in demand. So that's where it started, and that then, as we said, as I just tried to explain, is then going all through the whole process end to end. So that's one thing. And so there's not working in silos, but really working as a team, as DFE Pharma team. The second reason I want to mention has a lot to do with the business contingency. So that's a process, obviously, that's not started last year, but many years before. That we as DFE Pharma really looked who are our suppliers? Do we have more than one supplier for our critical products? Our factories up to date and well maintained? Do we have warehouses in the regions? And I want to highlight that last year as well. We opened a new warehouse in China to better serve the region. And planning factories not for the full 100% as what we've done as well. So that's what I would consider this whole part of the business contingency plan. But probably the most important item I want to stress has a lot to do with culture. At DFE Pharma, we really strive for excellence. So for years, we're focusing on deviations in all type of processes in the whole supply chain. And understanding if processes did not work perfectly, going to the root cause. That's what we then saw particularly paid off last year, that when the whole supply chain got under pressure with this peak demand, the whole process remained flawless. So whether it was the release process of produced products, the order intake process, or whatever process, we have spent a lot of time over the years in looking for if deviations are happening, if processes do not run as we would have expected, what's the root cause, and take the right actions so that it doesn't repeat again. I think those three topics for me have been the most important ones, and without doubt, the rest of this call, we will also come back again on this cultural aspect, on this way, this focus, this strive for excellence, which I think is so important for DFE Pharma. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Teun. How about your department, Sander? Do you see similar points that Teun just mentioned, or is it slightly different from the R&D perspective?
Well, of course, there's overlap, Karen. However, with R&D, we're looking at lab work, right? And lab work is location dependent. In the midst of the pandemic, we have to do that in a safe environment, right? And people are our key asset within R&D. It's the minds and the brains of the people at the bench that really help us drive innovation. And so to do this safely and at full pace, I think is a challenge that we have observed over the past 2 years. This is also something we see at the R&Ds of our customers, right? Getting into the lab, doing their development work, getting their products to market can absolutely be a challenge in these times. And that collaborative spirit that we had before the pandemic also comes at a risk at this moment. So, we've experienced changes also in that connectivity, connecting virtually. We're doing that now, right? And this is also something that, our entire team has gotten accustomed to. It's a very nice thing because the globe also becomes smaller. So virtual connects with other parts of the world are done very quickly, whether it's connects with Asia, with India, with the US, with Brazil. They're all far more accessible at the moment. So with that, I'm also very proud that the entire team of DFE Pharma has been able to enhance their connectivity across the globe with those R&D teams to help them develop, amidst the pandemic, or even overcoming some of those challenges. Additionally,
it's slightly the same as what Teun just mentioned in terms of culture and changing culture and adapting to it, right?
Precisely, and very, very comparable. Trying to adapt to this new way of working is key. And we don't stop in our developments. We've been able to introduce formulation development services to assist our customers' R&D in their product development. So these kind of things are continued to be developed by DFE Pharma and the team at ITS.
Well, it's actually quite interesting what you just said as your last point with the product development, because in our poll that we held prior to this roundtable, we had a poll on LinkedIn to also get a bit of insight in what the interest was for many people. And many people then responded that they're very interested to learn more about product development and formulation. I even recently read an article in PharmTech how complex and difficult to formulate molecules are ever more present in development pipelines. So with that challenge and with the challenge that you just mentioned of the pandemic and making sure that people are safe and are able to actually work in the labs, there might be a bit of an overarching industry trend towards niche therapeutic and specialized disease areas. So the importance of innovative formulation strategies implemented early in the development timeline is becoming much more evident. Could you please elaborate, Sander, a little bit on how your department can play a role in this trend and how you can help pharma companies with their innovation and innovative formulation strategies?
Yeah, Karen. To solve complex problems, increased collaboration, right? That's key. And that's especially so if you want to solve those challenges quickly. So you have to gather as many experts together and work together to come to a solution. And as DFE Pharma, we're known as a supplier of excipients. That's known. However, our technical team is really gearing towards becoming a supplier of solutions. Across the years, we've built a really strong team within DFE Pharma, within ITS, of formulation and excipient experts. And excipients are key because to bring complex medicines to a formulation and overcome formulation challenges, these challenges are often resolved with the right excipients. And that's where we love to play. We do that with a central team, right, within Europe with experts there, and locally across the globe we have our technical managers that can be really close to the R&Ds and can help step in with R&Ds struggling with their formulation solutions. And in fact, we're also investing in hubs, and we'll be launching one of our centers of excellence, our close to the formulator services, next year in Hyderabad. And there we'll be really providing customer-specific formulation development services for oral solid dose. And this is really looking to fast-track developments or reformulation activities from basic to complex solutions. So it could be 3D printing, continuous manufacturing, direct compression, orally disintegrating tablets, effervescents, chewables, modified release, etc. Solutions that can be serviced through our close to the formulator services next year.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think that's actually a very interesting development, and I'm really looking forward to see that opening happening.
I think one sorry, Karen.
Go ahead. No, please.
Just wanted to step in. I mean, I think innovation is also remains key, right? So we over last year we've looked at broadening our portfolio, and you see with increasing complexity, you see more complex medicines, and therefore the biopharmaceutical industry has been growing and growing. And 2021 has seen the launch of our biopharma portfolio, initially with biohale sucrose, very recently with trehalose dihydrate, and we'll be continuing to do that. These grades are applicable for therapeutic areas where they can be used for parenteral, ophthalmic, inhalation, or oral route. Stay tuned because we're going to be continuing there for sure. OSD. We in 2021 we also added Pharmacell SMCC 90. So that's a silicified microcrystalline cellulose. And here we're talking about, solving challenging oral solid dose formulations. So, our portfolio is growing, and our excipients are a part of the solution. And we now have 200 premium products for biopharma, inhalation, oral solid dose. And also for 2022, we're looking to further invest and expand on that.
Okay. And that's indeed good to hear that there's an expanding investment also in portfolio. I read that we have like over 200 products within the different product categories. I also know that we're currently investing in an increased MCC capacity, which will be announced and launched later in 2022. Teun, can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Let me take it a little bit wider. As Sander talks about this invest and expand. And I think as DFE Pharma, I think we are in 3 key areas where we continue indeed to invest and expand. And it's in sustainability, quality, and reliability of supply. And indeed, for the third, it is reliability of supply, as indicated before. Within DFE Pharma, product availability is good. We have had excess capacity. We are not planning our factories to full 100%. There was one product that was a bottleneck, or at least that we saw the bottleneck coming, which was related to MCC. So indeed, we're going to invest in India. We will be joining Sander in his journey to India. He and his in the laboratory, and we in additional capacity in our factory in Cuddalore in India. So that's indeed that should be up and running in 2022. So we are in the latest steps to sign the final contracts, and then what we find always very exciting, we can start the physical work. I can start on the facility, which is obviously a big milestone for all involved. There is one additional thing I want to add, because when we talk about this whole reliability, it's not only then you have had COVID, but of course we have also had the ocean freight challenges. And also here, I should want to make the link again to what I said before about the 3 important points I mentioned, because the ocean freight challenges, of course, things can happen unexpectedly, but ocean freight challenges, when it happens every month, or when it's now for more than 18 months, it is not a surprise anymore. So then the question is, how as an organization are you adapting? And then I'm again back to this whole end-to-end. Do we understand our customers? So do we know and can we are in contact with them to start the whole order process in an earlier stage? We are in dialogue. We are managing their expectations, and by doing so, we anticipate basically, because we know it's coming. It again, as I said, it is not a surprise that it's there. As I said, we've got data of our customers. So we invested in statistical forecasting. So we, again, in great dialogue with them, are then managing expectations and improving supply and delivery of our products.
Okay. Thank you, Teun, and also as a reminder to all our attendees, please feel free to fill in any questions that you might have, as we try to answer these as well. Teun, you mentioned the challenges, but on freight, but we also see, and that's also what came out of the poll that we just did at the beginning of this roundtable. The increased costs of raw materials, including transportation. How do you look at these current cost price increases, and what do you also foresee maybe for the next year coming?
Yeah, Karen, to be honest, these cost price increases, that's really, it gives me a headache. And sometimes when I see it also, yeah, headache, pain in my stomach, how you want to call it, because indeed it's unprecedented. Of course, also for 2022, we had budgeted cost prices increases, but to be honest, also this week again, we've had quite some meetings where basically we see that the cost price increases are far above what we had budgeted. On the other hand, when we looked what is now really important for our customers, it is the reliability in supply. So again, I think yeah, even more than the cost price increase, because that's always, you know, not having a cost price increase, there's something that's worse, and that's not even being able to produce and supply your customer. So basically what we do internally, how we deal with this cost price increases even more ferociously, looking into the inefficiencies in our processes. So I like to mention a few. So energy or investments in energy reduction, which probably didn't pay out until now. Now with these energy price increases do pay out, and we are investing. Increased yield of our processes, more automation. So, you know, there's also the flip side of increased cost, and the flip side is that it also creates opportunities. But again, I want to end where I started. Does it mean that it starts first with a headache, and then indeed we come together as a team and we started to think about what is it that we actually can do to reduce those increases.
Yeah, so great to hear that you bring it back again also to the culture, what you already mentioned a few times. I think that there's really a culture to see what we can do and how we can solve it and make sure that we can still commit to our customers' needs. Yeah, as you say, I mean, cost increases are unprecedented, and things do change, and yeah, that's, I guess, the only constant that we have, that things will change. If we think about changes in the full industry, Sander, from your view, switching a little bit of the gears here, how has drug development changed in the past, I would say 5 or maybe 10 years, and what will you predict in the coming or in the next 5 to 10 years, in the next decade? Can you comment a little bit on that?
Good question. I think if we look at the past 5 to 10 years, then we've seen a couple of things. And we have seen, so if we look at governments have become more stringent on regulations and have increased cost pressure. If we look at the type of medicines that have been launched, then we're looking at biologics. A lot of biologics have been developed. If we look at why that's going in that direction, and we're also looking towards personalized medicine. So there are kind of 3 different buckets, I might say, and you know, all of this is basically influencing the lives of all of us across the globe, right? And will affect R&D pipelines. If I talk about, let's say, the regulatory part and the cost pressures, then you know, a lot of companies across the globe are looking at developing this in different ways. It's more efficient formulation strategies. We're looking from a DFE perspective at that, you know, from our excipient expertise perspective. That's also a background to our C2F services that I mentioned before. bringing our expertise in excipients and formulation development to customers to help with those kind of challenges, bringing more economical formulations there. But also, continuous manufacturing is something the industry is looking at very much from a formulation control perspective. FDA has been working on a QBD initiative. This fits very well in that initiative, along with more efficient supply chains. And then last but not least, of course, the biologic, the rise of biologics. And in that sense, the DFE Pharma has naturally also invested in solutions to support with that biopharma industry. And like I said before, we've launched in 2021. We've already launched our initial solutions with biohale sucrose and biohale trellulose, and we'll be expanding on that in the future as well. So regulatory environment, personalized medicine leading to more biologics, continuous manufacturing is what I see at the moment.
Okay, and if you talk about continuous manufacturing, could you be a bit more specific in what benefits this could bring in the coming years?
Sorry, there was a glitch in my system, I think.
I saw you disappearing, but you're back, I think.
Yeah.
I asked on continuous manufacturing that you touched upon. Could you elaborate a little bit more on what benefits continuous manufacturing can bring?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I think the industry is quite in flux. So we see different customers. We're working intensively with quite some customers on continuous manufacturing solutions, and everybody has their own vision on this. But I think in general, there are a number of different things that people are looking at, right? So they're looking at the lead times of manufacturing, right? The reduced plant footprint, reducing steps, real-time monitoring. So that has very much to do with the increased quality, reduced scale-up times, amount of API usage. At the end of the day, also more efficient processing. So there's an idea that continuous manufacturing could be up to 50% less expensive to run than batch processing. So, in the long run, we'll see quality, we'll see flexibility going up, we'll see cost and footprint of manufacturing going down. At the moment, like I said, there's a lot of flux in the development, and therefore the complexity of continuous manufacturing is still weighing heavily. So we're in that investment phase, even though there are already a number of products that have been launched with continuous manufacturing. The industry still has to reap the benefits for sure. And I think we're really looking at the degree of understanding that's needed in all segments of the process, and also the inputted materials, so the raw materials like our own products. And this increases the need for collaboration with suppliers and us partnering with manufacturers. And we also see this very much in collaborations that we have and that we're involved in, like MMIC and DDIC.
Thank you so much. Exciting times ahead, I would say.
For sure.
If we move a little bit to this or continue, I would say, with this outlook for next year and the years to come, I also like to get our audience again engaged and hear a little bit from our attendees, and this time through a whiteboard exercise. So Rose, if you could help to pull up the whiteboard, I would like to ask our attendees, what is your main expectation of an excipient supplier for 2022? Would it be maybe a broader portfolio? Do we need to expand our product portfolio? Is it security and supply, formulation support, etc.? So we would really like to hear from you. and to hear from you on the whiteboard. You see the whiteboard here, and on your left-hand screen, you should see some tools that you can use to write your answers to. And yeah, we'd like to hear from you. What is it that you'd like to see in at least 2022 or beyond in support in your excipient supplier? And I hope this works out for everyone.
So you can either use the text button or the pen button, I think.
Yeah, it should be possible. Okay. Slowly, there's a few things coming in: security of supply, functionality, strong supply. Don't be shy. And in the meantime, if you have other questions, you can still fill it in the Q&A box. Functionality is coming in here again. Formulation support. And you can fill in more if you want to. If you can write more, it's possible as well. And a smiley. A smile a day. The saying is slightly different. Okay, maybe
Good to see formulation support on there anyway.
Maybe any first reactions? Oral drugs for COVID-19. Okay. Maybe give a few more moments for anyone to okay. Thank you for everyone who put their comments in. Maybe Teun, a first reaction to this?
Yeah, sure, indeed. Supply, strong supply is, and secure supply remains, I think, a focus point for 2022. To be honest, I think we also learned again so much from the last 2 years that we are very confident when that concerns. So I see, if you ask me what are the key challenges for 2022, then I think supply and quality are type of qualifiers. I think where we really want to make a step up next year is with the launch of new products. We've got some in the pipeline, as Sander mentioned, particularly the bio-related products. I think that's where we also, as DFE Pharma, very much believe that there is still enormous potential also for us for lactose, because I think there was also a question from the audience about lactose capacity in India. We don't supply from, of course, we've got our warehouses, but for lactose production, again, it's dual source. It's either from Europe or from New Zealand. So to be specific on that question, yes, we do have a warehouse, obviously, and we supply a lot of lactose in India, but we don't produce ourselves in India.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And also already thank you for answering that question that indeed came in on our capacity. So that's answered there as well. I see something else coming up here on screen: resolve skill up challenges. Sander, any first response from your end from what comes up on the whiteboard here?
Yeah, I think nice ones. I mean, formulation support, very high on our agenda. Also looking towards 22 and increasing our service support in developing formulations. That includes also scale-up challenges. So our ambition with our formulation support is also to provide a ready to use formulation that will be scale-up proof. That's certainly on our mind, as is functionality. But I really like the oral drugs for COVID-19 remark here. I think I fully agree there. There are some pipeline, some medicine in the pipeline, right, in the market that is triggered towards reducing the effects of COVID-19 at the moment. So we're really looking at that, and from a security supply perspective, going back to Teun, I think that will be definitely high on our agendas to make sure that that gets to market. But another connectivity with this remark is very much about patient experience. If we look at the trend of biologics, these are complex medicines that are often administered through the parenteral route. This is not it's not the most convenient method. It's not the most patient-friendly method. I'm a firm believer of, if we could get everything oral solid dose, that would be the best for patients globally. And from that perspective, getting these complex medicines and bringing solutions for solubility enhancement, for increased bioavailability without impacting the quality of the drug. Those are the complexities that as an industry and as a supplier of excipients that we're looking forward to working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, and really thanks again for all the attendees for giving your inputs, because it's very interesting and very insightful. Okay, as we're already coming slightly to we're 3/4 in our conversation here. A question that came up, and it's a little bit away from what we were talking about, formulation support and supply, but I think it's still interesting to discuss. Is what differences, or what are some of the ways we are making a difference in the world? Teun, maybe you can give some insights on that in a broader perspective.
Yeah, I think as DFE Pharma we've proven in the past to have a strong track record. We've been the pioneers for inhalation. We are a very important, obviously, lactose supplier. So what really is going to make the difference to the world, I think, is our next step. What mentioned before, this whole biopharma, that we are stepping into, that we supply reliable supply. I think that's where we, as a company, can contribute, and that's high on the agenda for 2022.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sander, any thoughts from you or your end?
Yeah, I think the most tangible at this moment is very much COVID-19, right? And so if I look at last year and also this year, and very much looking for that same feeling next year, is the feeling of excitement to be able to contribute. Last year there was a real run on also medicines that could help against the effects of COVID. This created such a disruption in supply chains, with some medicines going down and others going up, and needing to adapt, and Teun's organization really supporting that, and seeing that was possible really gave a real feeling of pride on my end. And also our new portfolio. So we only launched it this year, of sucrose, BioHill sucrose and BioHill trehalose. And the first use of BioHill sucrose in a COVID-19 vaccine, I think gave myself, but also our entire organization, such a thrill of excitement. And those are the kind of things, helping helping create a healthier place in this world is something that is my ambition, and that's our ambition, and yeah, that's the excitement that I'm looking for also for 2022.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think it's also embedded in our purpose that we're really, like to move to a healthier world together with our customers and make sure that their patients, live healthier lives. Yeah, thank you so much for this. In order to round it up, I think this was a very nice and insightful conversation so far. We touched upon several things. Obviously, to all our attendees, I encourage you if you have any other thoughts or questions, feel free to reach out to us either by email. You can always reach out to us via email communications@dfepharma.com, or reach out to either Sander or Teun on LinkedIn. You can find their profiles and ask any questions or through our corporate LinkedIn channel. We're always there to help and connect with you. Before I really wrap up, Teun, any final thoughts for you? Also going in now, wrapping up 2021 and almost going in 22.
Absolutely. There's one word that always crosses my mind, and it's teamwork. So I'm very happy that we have had the audience. Looking forward to work with them, and also, of course, teamwork. That's not only then. That's across the whole chain with our suppliers, internally, DFE internally, and with our customers. I think, again, teamwork, that's what really is making the difference.
I agree. Thank you. Any last thoughts from you, Sander?
I think very similarly to Teun, I call it connectivity. So connectivity within our teams, but also connectivity with our customers. We've gotten a glimpse of that in Europe over the summer, and if we could get that in 2022, that would be a breakthrough for I think the entire globe and the industry as well. Looking forward to launching our C2F services in Q1 and increasing service orientation, connectivity with the customers. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to thank our panelists, Teun Heijnen and Sander van Gessel, for their insights today. I also really like to thank all of you for participating and giving your insights. Thank you, Rose, for your technical support here. And to all of you, stay safe, stay healthy, and have happy holidays for those who are celebrating at the end of the year, and hope to see you back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.